I'm Kia.
And I'm Florence.
And this is Melanin.
In medicine.
Okay, so it's been literal years.
Forever.
Yeah. And we apologize, we do our best. We're so excited to have a fresh new episode for you guys. We wanted to do something fun, so it might not be like super like pre-med, but you get to know more about us. And I mean, I say it's not gonna be super pre-med, but everything we do is super pre-med, so.
Our lives are pre-med.
Basically.
So.
Well, med.
Med,
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start off per usual with our Elders Elevation.
Woo-hoo. Okay. So this is a quote from Oprah Winfrey. It is, "Every time you state that you want or believe, you're the first to hear it. It's a message to both you and others about what you think is possible. Don't put a ceiling on yourself."
Yeah, that's strong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think being underrepresented minorities in medicine, there's already kind of a ceiling that we even put on ourselves. Like we just kind of accept like, okay, we're gonna work twice as hard, and if you don't make it, you're like, man, like you really take that hard, you beat yourself up. And I think just like knowing the only limits that exist are the limits you put in there.
Yeah, and I think with what Kia was saying too, like when you do put those limits on yourself and something happens where you don't exceed, like that's a lot of times when people like feel like imposter syndrome, just because we put so much pressure on ourselves, and then we start feeling like we're not supposed to be here. And if you got into med school, you're supposed to be there.
Absolutely, 1000%. Alrighty, so next we have our Mahoney message, which is a really cool resource. It's not so much so a message. This is one of them.
Yeah, this is one of them.
I can save it for a hidden Jemison.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect. Okay, we'll do that.
Okay.
So our Mahoney message, we have
a name?
Sebastian.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Sebastian. Mm-hmm. Okay, Sebastian reached out to us because he kind of had like a lower GPA. He had a 2.4, and he just recently took the Mcat and ended up getting a 489 on the Mcat. Is just kind of a little bit discouraged and was kind of asking for advice. So, what would you say, Kia?
So, first I'd want to know, has Sebastian graduated? Did he say?
Yes, Sebastian graduated.
Okay, so I would be thinking gap year for sure. And I would say with that time, study for the MCAT if you could. I know when I took the MCAT, I got like a 487. And that was a sign that I needed to retake. But I don't know if with the GPA, I really do think he would need a post-bac, don't you?
Yeah, I do think he would need a post-bac, but with that, I'm a little nervous because I think most post-bacs you have to have at least a 3.0 to get into.
I think SIU med prep, you could do it with a 2.5.
Okay.
Yeah. So with a 2.4, I mean, his options might be limited. I mean, you could do a self post-bac too if you're disciplined.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like maybe take this year to like enroll in like your local college and like get, because with that, a lower GPA, I think with post-bac, they'd be kind of nervous to take a chance on you because that's a little risky. Just they might like be scared you just don't really have that science background.
Right.
So maybe like taking those like earlier biology classes and like trying to get like a B or an A in them and then applying to a post-bac program maybe.
And then too, like I think the GPA might also be the reason for the low MCAT score.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once you kind of get that under control, you would be able to do that. I wouldn't recommend like self-studying for the MCAT now that I think about it.
No.
Yeah, no. Because that's going to be more content than anything, and that's just time.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing I would say to that too is like just don't really like put yourself in the box and like think about like the timeline, because everyone's journey to med school is so different. Like even between us two, like our journeys are so different. We got to the same place at the same time.
Same exact time.
Yes. So with that, like I would not be discouraged, and really like sit down and like evaluate whether like you really do want to put in the work, if you do want to put in the work, it's going to be a lot harder to get to like where we are than like the journey we took. But if you're willing to put in the work and go for it, you're more than capable of doing it. You just have to be a little bit more strategic and careful with what you're doing.
And with that time, like, think about it as a blessing. You could actually work with your degree. You could save money. You could start putting money aside for when it comes to the time that you can't work. Maybe when you're in a post-bac program, or if you were in medical school, then that money is going to be a good cushion for you in the event that you have to can't work for a year and have to pay your rent.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true.
So with a bio degree, I imagine, what's the, he might have not mentioned.
Oh, no, he didn't mention the degree.
Well, with a degree, you have options for a job, even in the medical field. You don't have to have like specific bio or anything. So
yeah, really. And like a lot of like, you worked in the medical field for a year before, and just like a lot of the terminology and the medications you heard before starting medical school. So that'll be like a little bit easier learning curve than some people who just went straight out, because I know I definitely struggled with like the medical terms and like doing like blood pressures, and some people literally go in the room and be like and have it done. So
sound effects and all.
So yeah, like everyone's journey to medical school is so different. So I really wish like the medical field would like stop preaching like you have to get your degree, you have to go straight through. And because it just adds so much pressure
I mean, comparison alone really adds a lot of pressure. Like I think this summer I've done a lot of just like not comparing myself to like all the people that I obsess over on Instagram. And it's just like, I have to realize I'm in my own journey, and my journey is just as significant as anyone else's. And that's huge. Like, you really should have that strong just confidence in yourself. And I think going in with low numbers really does something to your confidence. And so I think like this year you can really build your confidence. You can really like come up with a plan. I wouldn't do anything before sitting down and coming up with at least 3 options for your future. And if that includes military, if that includes going to, I don't know, do missionary work somewhere, like give yourself all the range with the options. You did just graduate. Like, that's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So like, use that. This is a great moment in your life that you should, despite COVID, you could really take advantage of your future. So.
Yeah. And with us too, like just seeing like the people who went straight out versus the people who took a couple years, like there's a huge difference in like maturity level, responsibility, accountability that we're going to talk to, and just like having more of a passion to do certain things. Like, I just noticed the people who went straight out, some of them just are lacking the passion.
Yeah, I mean, and you can't blame them. At 21, I would not be med school ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So,
and just some of the sacrifices you have to make with being in this journey, they're just like we don't even think about them.
No.
We just do them. Like if someone like emails us and they're like, hey, you have a meeting in 30 minutes. We're like, oh, okay. We get on our computer. But just some of those sacrifices when you're so young, it's just really hard to make or give up. So.
Yeah. So take this it's a blessing in disguise. Yes. I know it's hard to believe, easier said than done, but that's what you're going with.
Yes.
Okay, so our interview question. I thought of this one, and I think it's going to be fairly popular with what's going on as far as, like with obviously the state of the nation. Yeah. So my question is, how did COVID affect your application process, and what did you do to overcome it?
That was great.
I know, right? Thanks. Yeah.
I don't know how to
I don't know either.
Such a difficult question.
Yeah, it's go ahead.
Yeah, one thing I know I've heard from like the med school advisor at like KU, they said they really want to see applicants who like did something during the application cycle. I don't know how I feel about that, just because like you never know what people are going through with COVID.
Right.
But I think just like showing that like you still had like you pushed through to make sure like you were applying. Like I don't know.
I mean, yeah, that's a good point though.
Yeah.
You've brought up a really good point. So like showing perseverance, I think that's the main thing they want to hear, and maybe resiliency. This is a great opportunity if you're coming straight out of undergrad to show how resilient you were.
Yeah.
So thinking about just, okay, well, my Mcat was moved to another place. That happened for a lot of people. So just saying, you know, I buckled down, I planned to travel, I put in the time for hotel and things like that. So just like showing that you could be organized in that time. Something else that might have happened was, shoot, you might have got corona, or like someone you love might have gotten it, and just showing how you kind of dealt with that, but was able to still handle your MCAT situation simultaneously, or your application even.
Yeah, or even just talking about like going from maybe like you were a person who went to class and took notes handwritten, and you had to switch to that virtual platform. So you can talk about that like adjustment and like what you did, because a lot of times like you have to be really strict on yourself. I had to make sure I didn't pause the lecture. I had to make sure I woke up at 6 a.m., 7 a.m. to make sure I started early because I go a little bit slower. Just little stuff like that, because I think that's a very challenging question, especially like the situation where our country is in right now.
Yeah. And I mean, you're in a very unique position. Yeah. So, all right. So now it's time for our stepping stones. Okay, so our first one is accountability. So I thought of this because accountability is kind of like the biggest perk to going to med school with your best friend. Aww. And also too, you have to have accountability when you go to med school, as well as in the process. So what would you say is like the biggest thing with being accountable, or like holding yourself accountable?
I think this kind of goes with the quote that I read earlier. I think like when you have like a goal and dream or aspiration or anything, I think it's important not just to like keep it to yourself, but keep it with like people you trust and like people that'll keep you accountable. Because like I know last year there would be a lot of times where I'd be like, okay, Kia, I want to get through X, Y, and Z, and then I'd get home and be like, dang, I really want to take a nap, like let me just do this. And Kia'd be like, well, you wanted to get through all these things today. And I'd be like, okay, you're right. Like, let me go do it. Yeah. So a lot
that
of
happened
times...
like twice. No, just kidding.
I was like, but yeah, like a lot of times, like if you have like a goal and it's like pretty like far-fetched goal, especially like medical school that's so drawn out and like so long-term, it's really hard to keep sight of that without like if it's just like in your head and you're just keeping it to yourself. Because there's a lot of times like if Kia just saw me like not really like saying all the stuff I want to go to, she might think like, oh, Flo's already gone through that, like she doesn't need to do that. So she probably wouldn't feel like she had to like keep me accountable for stuff like that. But a lot of times like I think it's easier or when you have someone like self-motivating you too.
Yeah. And oftentimes like when one of us would say, okay, like I think I'm done, there would be a list of things like you'd run through like everything you had planned to get through today, and it would be like, okay, so like have I gotten through it? If I haven't, I need to stay here. One of the best things I think we did too was knowing our limits and then knowing what we were capable of and what we weren't.
Yeah.
So when it came to, studying on campus, I think both of us knew if I'm not going to be able to do this at home, I need to go to campus.
Yeah.
And that's something we really held each other accountable for too, because it was like, if you don't think you can get through it, we'll go together. Yeah. Yeah. We'll go to campus as a unit.
Yeah. I'd be like, do you want pizza tonight? I'll call the pizza. Just cash at me. And then it'd be like, he'd be like, I'll pick it up. Like that. Yeah. We really had like a system like that. Yeah.
Because it was just impossible to go through it alone. Like we just knew if I'm going to be like struggling at home, I need to go to campus. It's a lot easier to go to campus if you know someone's waiting for you there.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? You have a plan. We're going to start at 8:00. Yes, we started at 8 p.m. sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so we were hardcore on the accountability train, now that I think about it.
Yeah, and it's also like with that too, like if you're looking for someone to keep you accountable, they themselves also have to be an accountable person. Because I know like I've tried to like work out with people who'd be like, okay, let's do this. And honestly, for working out, I've probably done it myself too, where I'd be like, okay, let's get up at 6 a.m. and you'll do it for like 2 times. Yeah, a week. And I guess med school is a little bit different because if you don't do it, you're not gonna make it. But and if you gain a little bit of weight, that's
perfectly fine.
Yeah,
it's normal. It's
exactly.
expected.
But yeah, that's also very important too. Like that person also has to like be pulling you too. It can't be like a one-sided relationship where one person's pulling the other and the other person's not.
Have you ever been kind of like in one of those scenarios where you aren't like someone's holding you accountable, but you're not so much so doing the same?
Like I'm not holding them accountable.
Yeah. I've definitely been that
person. Probably.
I was that way so much so when I was applying for medical school. I remember my good friend Vicky was very on me when it came to, you know, do you have your secondaries done? Do you have this done? Do you have, and I was dragging my feet. I mean, I was organized, you know, so I knew what I needed to do. But when it came to like, do I have it done? And like, that was my fault because I was so like caught up on coming back to Kansas City, getting a place to live. I didn't really feel I felt the pressure of getting my things in, but she was just available and like willing to push me where I didn't feel comfortable pushing someone else.
Yeah.
And I think when it came down to me pushing myself, it was like, oh shoot, like, okay, I need to push myself like Vicky was pushing me because, you know what I mean? And I think just, I've held myself accountable in other regards, but I think applying for medical school was just different.
With the Vicky, did you say the name?
Yeah, I said Vicky.
Oh, okay. I was like, tell me, I didn't mean to spell her name. With that just reminds me, because I was actually thinking about this last week. Do you think it's more because you guys weren't on the same page about like how to keep each other accountable? Like, maybe your definition of accountability was different than hers? Because
absolutely.
I was thinking about this last week because I feel like with like my ex, I would always expect, like being in a relationship with someone, I just expected like to be on the same page with them. Like there'd be certain things where I'd be like, okay, like I want to work out, like we should work out this time, or like let's study at this time, and they would always be like, oh, you got it, like you can do it. Right? And I was just thinking about that.
Oh, you got it. Yikes.
Because it's just so different. Like with like the relationship I'm in now, I feel like we're both keeping each other accountable, because like they'll always be like, okay, like what do I need to like make sure you're doing, like when you start school, like if you're not studying at this time, should I be like concerned? Should I be like start studying, or should I not? Or they'd be like, okay, what's your workout goals? And like I feel like me and him are like on the same page about like how to keep each other accountable.
Right.
And so like, for instance, like if they don't want to like go do like their sport, I'm like, okay, you told me yesterday like you wanted to work on this, like why did you want to do it? But I feel like with like my other relationships, like they would have said that and I would have had the same response. They would be like, why are you on me about this?
Right.
And so we just weren't on the same page about like how to keep each other accountable.
Yeah.
So
you really have to communicate that. Like I think because it's not effective if you're doing two different methods of accountability. Yeah. It's like you're just badgering.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think if someone expects the same amount of pressure that they're giving, then they're able to do that. But I think that's definitely just like one of those things that you have to communicate.
Yeah. So then how would you say people communicate that, or find someone who is, because I feel like us, it's just like natural, like we're both kind of like not high strung, but we both
we hold ourselves to that standard. Like,
and we just have like really big goals, and we know like to fill those goals we have to do even bigger things to get there. Yeah. So
like especially with a partner, like it's unrealistic to try to have them hold you accountable, but you can't hold them accountable the same way. So I think communicating, and like I think we kind of just attract people who like hold themselves accountable. Yeah. Because we ourselves, you know, so it's like it's just one of those things where okay, you communicate like, this is what I plan to do with my day, this is what I plan, and in your partner, you would want them to hold you accountable anyway. You would want them to be like, okay, how do you feel like, do you feel like you're reaching out to your goals? Do you think your goals are feasible? I had to mention the other day, SMART goals. And just like telling him, okay, like, is it realistic? Is it measurable? Is it accurate? And things like that. And I think, I don't know, is that the A?
Yeah, I think specific, measurable, attainable.
Yes. Is it attainable?
Yeah.
And like that was necessary. Like we were like, okay, how would you carry that out? And I think that's huge. That's part of, and even outside of like intimate relationships, your friends, your family, your church family, like making sure you have close people in your circle to hold you accountable is really like the biggest thing.
Yeah,
So.
and communication is everything. Just you can't assume people know what you're thinking. No.
It's unrealistic.
Yeah, no, exactly. Or you can't assume people know how med school is going if they're like not in the same journey. And I think it's easier for us too, just because we have all the same classes. We're in the same med school system. So like I know when Kia has class, I know when she has certain things. So yeah.
And we talk like all the time.
Yeah, so it's just, and that makes it easier. So if you don't have that like luxury, like you just have to communicate, like over communicate.
And if you don't have like friends in your med school class right now, or you feel like you're going to med school for the first time, which we're going to talk about, and you're like, I'm going to a whole new city. I don't know anyone in this city. You'll find someone. Trust me, med school is full of people who are doing something new for the first time.
Yeah, exactly. So. And people will make you feel like they wrote a thesis on this, and they go home and cry just like you do.
Period.
So.
Wait, what? For the most part, yes. So yeah, that's our thing with accountability. Like, just it's a hard hill to get over, but once you get over it, smooth sailing.
Yeah. And also too, like if you feel like someone's not giving you the accountability that you deserve, like you need to tell them, because they're like, you're wasting energy into something that's you're not being reciprocated.
Yeah, absolutely. It would have been completely fair for Vicky to be like, okay, you're not doing the same for me. What's the deal?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think even in that moment, I would have been like, you know what, you're right. Like, I'm so sorry. I just like I have a hard time holding adults accountable. That's my own thing. Ironically, I'm kind of like that person where it's like, if you're an adult, I don't feel like I should have to. And I mean, that's something I've had to work through even getting into med school, because it's like, being an adult and holding people accountable is something that you continue to do as an adult. You have to, in a position of power, you have to hold your employees accountable. You have to hold your coworkers accountable, even your peers. Like, and that's just a part of the process. So I think, like, for me, that was something new to adapt to. And it's probably why I've gotten so much better at it, is because I had to learn how to do it the right way. So yeah, you know, if you're crappy at holding people accountable, don't be surprised if somebody calls you out. Okay. So then we will go to our next stepping stone, which is starting your med school journey. Hey girl, congratulations, you're going to med school. Yikes. So right now, if you don't feel like you're at the top of your roller coaster, you have been clicking away, going up, and by golly, friend, you're at the top. And if you're not screaming, that's surprising. But you're gonna be happy when you get to the bottom, okay? You're gonna be so excited. So right now we're like in the middle of our down the slope, and it's an experience. So things that we wish we would have prepared for when we went to med school. A support system, we had that. Yeah, we had that pretty good.
I would say, like, for my first one, I would say you're super excited to be starting, but at the same time, you have to like contain your excitement. Just because, like, I feel like I went in like gung-ho, like ready to like study so much, and like
to be that textbook med student who never goes out.
And like do all these things and like not breathe and like
you have like your scuba gear ready, and it's like weighing you down. And if we could, that's a really good analogy. That's you have like snorkel, the floaties, the duck, the tank, all of that, and it's like, whoa, girl, we're just going to a pool.
That is exactly what it is. And like you're like going for like your first swim lesson, but you're getting ready for your first scuba diving lesson.
Absolutely.
Like, and it's not the same thing.
It's just so much.
And med school is scuba diving, like hardness wise, but
you'll get there.
It's, you just have to take one day at a time, one lesson at a time. We're not saying like slack off, but don't put as much pressure on yourself, because I went in with I have to like get
honors.
Yeah, honors, like hundreds, like
90 percentile.
Yeah, and like I think you just have to like learn the process and like find your mold where you are in like in the med school environment. Like that should really be like what your first year is about.
If you haven't, we'll probably put a link in the video, but there's a SMART goals video that we always really, and Flo found it and introduced it to our group, and I mean, it's perfect. Like, if you haven't made your SMART goals for the school year, I would highly suggest you doing that. If you don't get a white coat ceremony, I am so sorry. It's a great experience, but don't let that take away from the quality of what you earned. Like, that's huge. And whether you're unpackaging your white coat, whether you're putting it on in your bathroom, be proud. That's a moment that no one else can take away from you.
Exactly.
And yeah, there's a lot ahead of you. So you'll definitely feel like a med student.
Yeah, like you'll get to scuba dive gearing one day, but there's just so much. And like I felt like at the very beginning I was just so stressed because like I was getting lectures thrown at me. People were giving me like supplemental resources thrown at me. I was like trying to figure out how like I should study for myself to do well. I was trying to like figure out what organizations to go to, keep up with my family, keep up with my friends, trying to work out, trying to breathe.
Buy school merch.
Yeah. I was just trying to do so much, and it like I think like probably like halfway through our first block, like I really just have to take a step back and be like, okay, all these people are telling you to do all these things. Like, you just have to do what's best for you. Like, I know myself best. Like, so I just had to do what's best for me, not like what everybody was telling me. Just because you'll go to all these informational meetings and all these things, and people will be like, this is what I did to get into this residency. This is what I did. And you're like, oh, okay, like I see myself as them. Like, let me do what they did. But then this person did this. And you're just like, so confused, like
comparison.
Trying to figure it all out. I don't even know if that's avoidable, but
just keep it realistic. Yeah, and don't be afraid to look at somebody else's process and be like, no, that's not for me.
We do that all the time.
Yeah, by the time it was like October, I was like, no. Like, just looking at other people's situations and being like, that's not realistic for me. That's not something I can handle. Like, some students don't study until the day before the exam.
Yeah.
Not my ministry, like, at all. I don't want to be that student.
Yeah. Like, some people don't even watch a single lecture at our school until like 3 days before the exam. No, I'm not doing that.
No, because, and I mean, if you're that kind of student and it works for you, no shade, kudos. But if that's not your vibe, don't try to make it your vibe. Don't try to fit into those pants. Just find your size. So, a lot of analogies. Can you guys tell I'm bored? So, yeah, for sure. Like, just stay in your lane. Yeah. There was something else I also thought of. Get first aid. Yeah. Get first aid. So, first aid is a book. It's basically like the AAMC, what is it called? The Mcat like rubric or whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that first step, but it really helps to minimize what you're learning in your classes. I used first aid a bunch last year. Did you use first aid?
I didn't use it at all.
Yeah, it's something. It's kind of like a developed taste.
Yeah.
You kind of have to like the short and sweet, and if you like. And by no means is it the textbook to med school, like at all. It's just the quick run through of what you're going to know and what you should know about this disease. And then you can fill in your information about it. You could do what you want. Mine is on my iPad virtual, so I just have it all the time. But so you really just want to, if you have access to first aid, we got it for free at our, what's the Alumni Association?
Something.
Yeah, if you belong to that, then they give it to you for free. But there's different ways to get it for free through your school, probably. So if you can get that and use that when you're worried, when you're nervous, just look at it. Look at it before your exam, because I always looked at it the day before, and I would be like, wow, really wish I would have looked at this sooner. So just know your resources and then get to it. There's going to be a resource overload.
Yeah, there will. I was like stressed. Yeah, I hated that.
Yeah, there's a lot of resources because people get scared in med school and they're like, wow, what's an easy way to learn this? And the truth is, there's no easy way. Like, you're gonna have a bunch of resources and they might help, but at the end of the day, you have to learn it.
Yeah, and you really just have to figure out what works for you, when it works for you, because even all the resources you have, they won't work for certain content.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that's just like a learning process. You'll spend a while trying to figure that out, but once you figure it out, you're like, okay, I need to go to this resource for this resource for that, and it just gets a lot easier.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any more advice for our pre-med med students?
I had one and then it slipped my mind. Oh, I guess we can talk about the resources that we used and like why we used them.
Yeah. So my first year, did you want me to go first? Because I'm just gonna hop in.
You can.
Okay. So my first year I used first aid, Pathoma, the first part, because we have IBI, which is an infection, blood, and immunity.
Mm-hmm.
And it really helped when it came to like,
wait, say what Pathoma is, because that's one thing that stressed me out. Is people would just like be like first aid, Pathoma, and I'm sitting there like, okay,
and the words don't make sense.
Yeah, they don't.
So make sense. First aid, and we are not getting paid by any means by these resources. Although if you'd like to help the girls out, we're not going to stop you. Okay, so first aid, basically textbook for what's going to be on step. Pathoma is kind of like a recorded lectures by a young man. There's also a book that goes with it, and it kind of runs through all of the pathologies. Mm-hmm. So when you think of, okay, pathology is probably a very weird word right now. It's still weird to me, but pathology is basically the who, what, where, and why for a disease. So when you think of, let's start big and say lung cancer. So you're going to think of the pictures. Maybe you're going to think of what causes that, the clinical presentation, what population is susceptible to that. Wow, girl, I sound so smart.
You are.
Anyway. But yeah, so you're going to think of everything pathology, and that's what Pathoma does. And it's really good. It puts it into words. Literally, they take like a med student kind of level idea and they put it in like middle school terms, and that is just everything you need. And there's pictures. So there's that. I also use Sketchy. And Sketchy is just memorization tool. It's just cartoons that really put things into perspective. Yeah. What about you?
I would say I feel like the supplemental resources I would say I like consistently use would probably be Sketchy.
Mm-hmm.
I use that really just for like the bacteria and stuff. And then like if I didn't understand a content from lecture, then I'd go to Boards and Beyond.
That's my girl now.
Yeah. And then if I would always look in like first aid, like if there was like a lot to memorize about like a certain disease, I would always go to like first aid and just look at that section to see if they had any mnemonics or anything. But that's really all I use first aid for. But
yeah, for sure. And then use first year to figure out what resources work. I think that's the biggest thing. Last year, this time, we were so overwhelmed with resources. The girls would throw out acronyms and nicknames and sketchy this, and we didn't
Amboss, everything.
We didn't know what these things were. And so this year we learned, right? Yeah. We had access to them. We were like, okay, what works from this? What works from this? And we had the opportunity to do that. So in the bio, I'm going to put basically what these things are. I'm going to have a link to all of their, now, of course, they're going to say, buy this, buy that. Don't buy nothing yet, girl. Just wait. But at least you'll get an idea of what these resources are.
Yeah. Because if you go out and just buy everything, that's so expensive. And like you're not going to use some of the stuff. Like you can't use Pathoma to learn the bacteria. Like it's just, you can't. So you just have to figure out what works and just buy the resource that works for you.
For sure. Okay, so we're going to get to the fun stuff. Not that, med school and ambition isn't fun, but we're going to do a, like, do you know me kind of vibe?
Yeah.
Best friend edition.
Yeah, so you guys can get to know us a little bit better.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you want to do first?
Yeah, okay. I found this one. So, what's your favorite memory of us?
Aww.
I know. I know. It's kind of hard.
Oh, we have so many.
I know.
Oh, I'm in between 2019 summer and 2015 summer. I'm going to say Pap.
Oh, I was thinking Pap too.
I know. It was so fun.
I feel like I don't remember the exact events. I just remember it was so fun.
Yeah. So I remember One in particular that I always go back to is when we were in the basement of the dorm that we were staying in studying. And it was like we had a lot to study.
Yeah.
And it was an unrealistic amount. And I remember like it was me, you, our friends, and we literally were just like up probably until like 3 a.m, just like reading Kaplan, writing on the board. And like it's so crazy because even now we do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was how long ago? It was like 5 years ago.
Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, even now we're just like those same people. And I think it's just, it really shows, you know, we're just the same old. So yeah, what about you?
I'm trying to think. I think, okay, this is my favorite memory. It was my 21st birthday, and Kia planned a surprise, like, get-together thing for me for my birthday.
Oh,
and it just meant so much to me, because I'd known you for, like,
a week,
and for someone to go, like, the lengths to plan that for my birthday, I really liked that.
Yeah, I actually ran out of gas that day. Do you remember that?
She did.
Yeah.
I remember you because I kept, literally, it was my birthday, and I was so sad because, like, my boyfriend at the time hadn't said happy birthday. Kia wasn't in the room. And I could literally, everyone was like helping her plan the surprise.
Yeah.
Like, no one was on campus. I was like, dang, like it's my birthday.
Like,
Like,
it's actually very sad. Like, I thought about it from your perspective. I'm like, yeah, I didn't really think about that. We like took you out of the group meet.
yeah. And I was literally like, what is going on? Like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So.
And then that evening we had like cake and sparklers.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay, it's ever made. So
that was fun. Oh, yeah. Okay, well that's fun. Oh, did I have one? Let me see. These are like serious. Oh, what would your perfect day be?
My perfect day.
From waking up to bedtime.
Okay, so I can be anywhere. I have to be here.
Wow. Okay. Well, perfect day. Pick a place.
Okay, so I'm like on some tropical island.
Wow. Go like.
I wake up and there's just breakfast in bed, everything, and then I'm overlooking the ocean and it's beautiful. And then I get up and I do something adventurous for the day. I don't know. That's like doesn't make me feel like tired.
That's a big one.
And then I have like the best meal ever. I don't know what it is, but it's just really good. And then, what else would I do? I get a massage. I would, just like a nice, relaxing, adventurous day.
My perfect day. I would like to work my family in there because I love them. But
that made mine seem. I still do it myself having a relaxing day.
If I could, I would be probably with my partner and my parents, because they're my best friend. I would love to be somewhere like with like a cool outdoor scenery. So I'm just gonna say Hawaii, because
Ooh.
And I would love to go on a hike, like an early hike, and see the sunrise, and then probably take a nap after that. And then definitely like do like maybe an aquarium or maybe scuba diving, something with like animals. Yeah, but animals who can't like eat me. So that, and then I would like to do like probably like a nighttime beach activity. I would love to go shopping. So I think shopping should be worked into there somewhere.
That's good.
And then a nighttime beach activity, maybe like a bonfire on the beach or something with my family.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a good day.
Yeah, and then a yacht party with my friends. Yeah, I can't afford this day. So
that's how I feel.
Keep working. Your turn.
Okay, so how did you picture your life at this age when you were young?
Yikes. So I thought I would be obviously married when I was like probably 27. So not there. What else? I don't know that I thought I was going to be a doctor. Let's say like 15. At 15, I thought I would be a doctor. So I figured I'd be married, already a doctor, didn't know what kind, didn't really know what the life of a doctor looked like. Mm-hmm. So probably something ridiculous like a Lamborghini or several, big, ridiculously priced house, and didn't plan on anything else. So yeah,
I feel that.
And honestly, truth be told, I like my life very much right now.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't change it for the world. I wouldn't want multiple Lamborghinis right now.
Yeah, that's true. By this time, I definitely thought I'd already be a doctor. I thought I'd be married as well.
The lies we tell ourselves.
Exactly. I think it's like societal pressures.
Absolutely, girl.
Yeah.
If I didn't even know what it was like to own a car, and I was like, oh, have to own the nicest car.
Yeah.
I probably didn't even know you needed a marriage certificate at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what else?
Did you see yourself having kids at this point?
Yeah, I thought I'd have kids at this point.
Yeah.
Or like pregnant at least at this point.
I left that right on out of mine.
Yikes. Yeah. Just like none of the stuff that's happening now. So
Would you change it?
no, I wouldn't change it.
Of course you wouldn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't change it.
Why would you change it? I'm here.
Aw.
I'm just kidding. Okay, so
Can we do one more?
Yeah, let's do one more.
Then we can do our Mahoney message.
Oh, we're hidden.
Or hidden gigs, yeah.
Oh no, not that. That's sad.
Mm.
Oh, where do you hope to be? Okay, so here are our options: 5, 10, or 15 years. So pick one.
Let's do 10.
Okay.
That's a happy medium.
Yeah, because 5 is probably sad. That's probably bad stuff.
Probably.
Okay, so 10 years.
Hopefully the stuff that I thought I would be doing when I was younger.
Yeah, 'cause-
hopefully I'm
yeah.
married. Hopefully I will be a doctor by then.
You will be married.
Yeah. I'm hoping I'm like getting to the point where I'm like getting to the upwards part of my career. And doing, yeah. Honestly, just taking every day by day.
Yeah, I would say 10 years from now I'll be 36. I'll take a kid or two. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll work their way in
That's
there.
a thing.
Yeah. So by then I'll be married. Definitely homeowner, nice car owner. I'll be a doctor. It'll probably be like my first year as an attending, 36.
Oh no.
Yeah, because like my residency,
It's 5
target
years.
residency is like 5 years, and I graduated 29. So
You've been a doctor for 2 years.
if I do a fellowship,
Yeah, if you do a fellowship,
woo! So 36, big checks now. Yeah, I think just I'd either live in Phoenix or Atlanta. Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah, between those
Somewhere
two.
warm.
Not Chicago, but maybe Chicago. we'll keep it in the votes. But yeah, so that's my vibe. I think that's where I'd be.
That's good.
Yeah. Wow. 10 years from now we'll be 36.
Wow. Yeah.
What is life? Maybe 10 years from now I'll watch this and I'll be like, ha! The lies I told myself.
I know.
I had no plans. Oh, I'll be debt free. I know that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no debt at 36. That'll be gone.
I like it.
This little med school debt washed away.
I like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's all we got. Let's do a hidden gems then.
Oh, as Kia finds a hidden Jemison. We're super excited because we have a little bit of fun episodes that we're going to do for you guys this coming school season so that you guys can experience med school with us.
Oh, one thing we're gonna do is should I talk about the giveaway?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna do a Kaplan giveaway again. Woo! So we're gonna do a quick book set giveaway. We had great success with our giveaway last time, so we'll probably start it, I don't know, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll let it run for a little while. I feel like we cut our last one off a little short, so probably like 2 weeks, just so that you guys have time. But yeah, you know, a giveaway, because somebody's got to be studying for the Mcat somewhere.
It's coming.
Yeah. So the hidden Jemison that I found was actually brought to me. Someone emailed us, emailed us, and if you'd like to do a hidden Jemison, sorry, I didn't mention this. If you have a Mahoney message, email us at melaninmedicine02@gmail.com. That's melaninmedicine02@gmail.com. And yeah, of course, we didn't mention this either. Like, subscribe, and watch all of our stuff.
Yes.
So the hidden Jemison was someone hosting online pre-med chats And they will be doing this from June 2020 to May 2021. So this is a great resource. It's Dr. Nakae, and I hope I pronounced that right. But she mentioned it and she wanted to basically pub it. So she'll also be posting things on her YouTube channel, and that's Nakae for her name. So if you want to search that on YouTube, we'll also put the Zoom link on our in our bio or in the description below, so that you guys can at least get a view of that. But they're hosted weekly. Oh, the second Sunday of every month. So yeah, it's 11 to 12:30 PST, Pacific Standard Time.
There you go.
So yeah, if you have time in the afternoon, a little lunch break or something, tune into that. Sounds like a really good resource to help you guys out. Yeah, other than that, do you have anything else?
Nope. Thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. We're sorry that it was so long in between. We just had quite the summer. It was almost like we didn't have much of a break because we had meetings back to back. And yeah, but we're glad we got to do this with you guys, and we look forward to the next one.
Yay. Bye.
Adios.